It's time once again for the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Thanks for joining us, and we're joined with Heidi Nelson once again. Heidi, welcome.
Thank you.
Maple Grove City Administrator here to talk about the meeting on the 3rd and also a work session ahead of time. And then a number of items happening in the city, a lot coming up in springtime, so stay with us for that information in just a little bit. Let's begin with the work session ahead of time, and there has been a string of work sessions, a lot to talk about in the city. First item was talked about is the Joint Community Police Partnership. Give us a little review of what this is and why it's becoming necessary and what happened last at the meeting.
Yeah, so our goal with this work session topic was really just to provide kind of an introduction to the City Council. This likely would come back as a budgetary consideration because there is some cost associated with it, but it's a collaborative program with Hennepin County whereby a Hennepin County employee is basically embedded into our police department, and their mission is really to enhance communication and understanding between law enforcement and then multicultural residents in the community. And so there's a number of communities that participate in this today, including Bloomington, Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, Crystal, Hopkins, Richfield. There's a number of other communities that are looking at it as well. I think as Maple Grove continues to grow and become more diverse, this is a program that we think would have some value. So this was an introduction. Don Ryan with Hennepin County was on the call as well and provided some insight and answered council's questions, but this one will likely come back for more discussion as we move into the budget process.
We will keep you up to date on that. Other item on the work session was the Community Center pre-design review. We've talked a lot about this. What is this step of the process?
Yeah, so we're doing this work now to submit in June for the formal state bonding process that will be part of the 2022 legislative session. We do have a bonding bill in the House right now for this session. It seems like it might be unlikely that there's any local projects in what might be a bonding bill this year, so we're really preparing for that 2022 session. So this pre-design process is really about kind of laying out a master plan for that campus. So the plan is kind of big right now, but it's something that kind of outlines the possibilities and the opportunity there on that community center campus, but also prioritizes some of those things that we know we heard through the initial community engagement process that were really important to the community, and some of those things focused around expanded areas for our active adults, our senior programs. Certainly a lot of support out there for a third sheet of ice at that facility. We know there's a need for bigger and more robust banquet and meeting space in that facility. We're a bit limited today. And then of course, you know, we were having ongoing discussions with Lifetime Fitness about their plans in the community, and that kind of got held up by the pandemic, and we continue to engage with them. We don't really know kind of what the end of their story is or when they'll get back into a growth mode, but we continue to stay engaged with them. So not making final decisions at this point about you know, what that project ends up being. This is really about pursuing the various financing opportunities for the project. So not only the work around this state bonding, but also, you know, our local option sales tax pursuit is out there with the legislature right now, as well as looking at using some of our lodging tax towards this capital cost. We'll talk a little bit later about some of the federal opportunities that are out there, but just wanting to kind of nail down this master plan for this state submittal. So this was a good review. All the information's available out on the website as part of the work session packet, so if people want to go take a look at that, and then if they have questions, certainly we're available at City Hall.
Very good. Again, maplegrovemn.gov will give you that a little bit later on in the program as well. Now to the meeting from the 3rd, about an hour and a half in length. One item pulled from consent, and that was our friends skiing on the lakes once again. Tell us about this.
So another sure sign of summer. This is our Cedar Island and Fish Lake ski slalom courses, and our Lake Quality Commission reviews these applications. Councilmember Karen Jager serves as the liaison to the Lake Quality Commission and just highlighted these, that these get approved every year, and kind of fun to see that activity happening out there.
Under special business, a sad note, the passing of a longtime friend of the city of Maple Grove. Tell us a little bit about Bob Burlingame and some of the notes that were passed along at the meeting.
Yeah, so there was a visitation held yesterday for Bob Burlingame, and Bob's history with the city goes back a long time. He started his role with the city as a police officer here in 1962 through 1967. He became the police chief in 1967, served in that role till 1992, and then served as mayor from 1995 to 2001. So Bob was kind of a fixture around here.
Definitely.
And a treasured servant to the community. He loved Maple Grove and was very committed to public service. And so it was nice to be able to attend yesterday and meet many of his family. I, of course, didn't work with Bob, having only been here a short time, but certainly had the opportunity to meet him over the years at various events that he would still, attend for the city, and always enjoyed visiting with him. So we wish, are in sympathy to his family for their loss. Bob was 93 years old, so lived a wonderful life, and we're just grateful for his service and commitment to the community.
Agree, definitely will be missed. And I remember parades, announcing Maple
Yes.
Grove Days parades, and he was always a character and had so much fun, not only commenting about what was in front of him, but making sure he said hi to everyone in the
Yes.
parade. So he wanted to make sure he acknowledged everyone that came by. So
Yes.
he will be missed.
Yes.
Another item from the meeting was the open forum, and one resident came up to talk about backyard chickens. And
Yeah.
I understand this might be a little bit more of a discussion moving forward.
Yeah, so this topic has come up from time to time, a lot of times out on social media networks, a desire to have, we refer to them as urban chickens
Okay.
in Maple Grove. Today, if you live in the R1 district, have a larger lot, there's certain lot sizes, you can have them. But in a typical suburban neighborhood lot, today they aren't allowed. And there's many of communities who have made those changes to their ordinance to allow for that and put regulations around it. So yes, we had a resident come forward and request that the council take that under consideration, and so we'll be putting together some information, likely see that come back to the council for some discussion in the future.
Okay. Another update at the meeting was the COVID-19 update on a monthly basis. The chief stepped forward and he's got some updates. What was that update? And also we've got some information to pass along about vaccines.
Yeah.
So tell us what's new in the COVID discussion.
Well, we continue to monitor, how the vaccination process is going, and of course our case numbers and things continue to trend in the right direction. I think with all the vaccination that's occurring, we're all kind of awaiting. I think the governor plans to make an announcement tomorrow about the next turn of the dials and what that will mean
Right.
in terms of capacity limits, not only for our businesses, but also for places like our community center,
Sure.
and what that means to returning to to the workplace, remote working conditions, that kind of a thing. So waiting to hear about that from the governor tomorrow. But yeah, lots of vaccine opportunities in Maple Grove. In fact, this past week, the Hindu Temple has partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health, and they've been offering kind of a walk-in free vaccination clinic out there. They have one of those kind of the mobile buses that
Sure.
are going around to do that, and they're going to be doing that again in the future. And then I just got a note that Sam's Club and Walmart are offering free walk-in vaccinations, and I know many of the pharmacies, Walgreens, CVS, really easy to get an appointment right now, and any of your medical providers. So if you're out there in search of a vaccine, I think we've come to the point where the demand is less than the supply, and so
Right.
they're readily available to folks, and readily available right here in the community. So we'll continue to monitor that and share that information out about that, and then wait to see what the governor has to say tomorrow.
One public hearing at the meeting on the 3rd, and that regarded Palisades at Nottingham. This is 7 single-family homes. Give us
Yeah.
a little recap of that discussion.
Yeah, so public hearing for Palisades at Nottingham, 3rd edition. So this is the street, sewer, utility connections needed for that project. So public hearing on that one, and that one will get out with plans and specs and out to bid for those improvements to be constructed this summer.
Move ahead to community development. Let's hop up to the Grove area. Discussion about a large fitness center coming to
Yeah.
that area. Where would it be located, and what was some of the discussion?
Yeah, so this is up at the Grove, just kind of directly next to Slumberland. There's a vacant space there between Haskell's and Slumberland, so taking only a portion of that space. And this is a fitness user called Crunch Fitness. They currently have a gym located in Blaine. They're a national company, but this would be their second Minnesota location. So they would take kind of one of those inline spaces there and construct a new building right up next to Slumberland.
what is the time frame that they're looking at possibly for this?
Yeah, so this was development stage plan and final plat, so it's anticipated that they could start some activity out there this summer.
All right, we'll keep an eye up there. Let's move over to Park 81 and talk about the south and east areas of that property.
Yeah.
What is the latest discussion there?
Yeah, so Park 81 is an industrial site. If you recall, the old Wells Concrete site up
Right.
there between 89th and County Road 81. So this site has been under redevelopment. The first building is up. Of course, that's kind of the Amazon short-term delivery site. The second building is under construction. And then the developer had come back to us and asked, wanting to forego construction of the third building. So this plan envisioned 3 industrial buildings. And in place of that third building, create additional park field for more of kind of the Sprinter van type delivery vehicles, as well as some truck bay parking. So staff reviewed this. We reviewed a lot of the circulation on the site. There was considerable work done about traffic, those kinds of things, and this one did gain support that night. So they will forego the third building and do more park field there.
Okay. Next item under community development was the Evanswood concept plan.
Yeah.
And this is something that was tabled in the past and now has come back. Give us a little refresher on why it was tabled at first discussion and what was discussed at the meeting on the 3rd.
Yeah, so this one, came in, I think, was submitted right in the end of the year last year, around December timeframe. So we've been kind of chewing on this one for several months here. But I think good process here. And part of the issue, I think, was a little bit we were in the midst of doing the results and the outcome of our housing study. And the council really wanted to understand, were we going to be making any tweaks there? What were the recommendations from that housing study, which we did a work session with the council on April 19th to kind of get some direction about that, and so wanted this to come back after that. Initially, I think some of the feedback, this initial concept phase had a lot of really small lots, so 28-foot lots, 40-foot lots was kind of a good portion of the development out there, and I think there was some pushback out there given that this is kind of the first development out in that northwest quadrant. This development proposal sits just south of the Hindu temple, and really kind of some concern about setting the direction for that area in terms of development. So worked a lot with the developer. We're grateful the developer really kind of took the council's feedback to heart and came back with a plan that has 69 85-foot lots and 158 65-foot lots, and then some tweaks to the townhome component on the southeast side as well. So this is concept phase, so likely not, I don't think they're in a rush to come back, but they just wanted to get kind of that concept nailed down, and now we'll go out and work with some builders. So council was grateful that we were able to move this in this direction, and that gained approval on Monday night.
Now, upcoming items in community development, a lot going on in the city as always. Let's talk about the upcoming Planning Commission meeting that is on May 10th. What are some of the topics that will be on that meeting's agenda? Yeah,
so phase 2 of the Arbor Lakes Business Park. So this is the land just due east of the fountains there. So the first 2 buildings that were done by Duke, Alum, of course, being the tenant, and then building right up along Elm Creek Boulevard. So kind of a second phase of those types of projects. All of those Duke buildings over there are fully occupied with good businesses bringing good jobs to Maple Grove, and so they're anxious to get going on this second phase. Different development group this time. Endeavor Properties is bringing this one forward. So this will be phase 2 of that. Some similar architecture, we're really focused on that western edge, making sure that that monumentation there at that corner, the landscaping is very strong. Maybe some more architectural enhancements to that west end of the project, given that these are, kind of office warehouse type facilities, just making sure that it fits in with the retail next door. So you'll see that phase 2 come through of Arbor Lakes Business Park. We have a senior housing facility up at the Minnesota Health Village. This, of course, was envisioned in the concept plan. Ryan Companies is bringing this one forward. 169 units there. And then the senior apartment project over at the Village, so just south of the existing residences, apartments there. This one had already been approved, but they're changing the footprint of the building, moving the memory care component around a little bit, so that has to come back for that amendment.
Okay, very good. And as those come to the council, we will certainly keep you up to date. Now, a couple updates from other departments in the city. Engineering, Public Works. Let's talk street reconstruction. The bids are starting to come in, and How
Yeah.
are things looking?
Well, we've been very nervous about this
Yes.
because, costs of things out there, and granted, this is more, bituminous and concrete, that kind of a thing, so, which a lot of it we make in our backyard here in Maple Grove,
Right.
so that's a little bit easier to get. But the first bid on our street reconstruction came in really good, right at an engineer's estimate, so we're feeling confident about that. So 2 more bids coming in this week, but that's something we've really been paying attention to, is just, it's not only the materials, it's labor
Sure.
components as well. So we're really anxious to see these other 2 bids come in this week and see how we fit out on those.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Sewer lining project, a little update on what that means for the city, and also a grant that might help out.
Yeah, so we do projects, so many, projects every year to line our sewer system pipes, and there is money available through the Met Council for, it's called inflow and infiltration, I&I
Right.
grants. And not a great amount of money, about $100,000, but we're always, seeking other funding sources for work that we do in the community. So this is just part of maintaining our sewer utility system.
Final note from Public Works, if you look up to the sky around Rice Lake Road, you see some work happening. What is
Yeah.
going on there?
Yeah, so this is some maintenance work with utilities, undergrounding of power utilities, which is kind of a long-standing goal of the community. The more we can have those utilities underground, the better it is for the neighborhood.
Your updates at the meeting on the 3rd included welcome to a new business. Tell us
Yeah.
about the grand opening that happened.
Yeah, so coming up here,
Okay, coming up.
Minnesota Play Cafe, they're having their grand opening this Friday, May
Right.
7th at 2 p.m. This is a new business over there, kind of between the space that Maple Grove Parks and Recreation has been using this winter, and then Biaggi's. They feature creative play opportunities for children, and they actually have been open since this last fall, but I think they're kind of finally at the point feeling a little bit more comfortable about having that grand opening.
Very
So
good.
this Friday at 2 p.m.
We mentioned the work session at the start of this meeting. There's another one coming up at the next
Yeah.
meeting. What are some of the topics that will be touched on there?
Yeah, so we're trying to get through our list of work session
Yes.
items here before we get into the summer months. We'll give council a
Right.
break then. But on May 17th, we're going to be circling back with the council on the police department workplace culture assessment that we did, and some of the work plan work that we've been working on in the last few weeks. And then also talk about a Maple Grove Convention and Visitors Bureau. So this opportunity that we talked about, the potential of leaving Minneapolis Northwest Tourism and kind of starting our own CVB here in Maple Grove. We'll be talking with the council about kind of the form and structure of what that might look like.
One final item from the meeting takes us back towards that beginning work session that happened, and talk about the community center, but also talk about roadways as well. Talk a little bit about federal lobbying and some of the process that goes on there.
Yeah, so we work with lobbyists on a few different fronts. Here at the state level, we work with Ann Lincheski with Lockridge Grindle now, and right now we're focused on the various funding mechanisms for the community center project. So local option sales tax, state bonding, that lodging tax carve-out is kind of our focus at the state level. We also work on a federal level with the I-94 Coalition. We work with the Lockridge Grindle now and DC office, which has become Primacy Strategy Group out there on the 94 Coalition, mainly purely focused on projects out on the 94 corridor. We have had discussions with the Primacy Strategy Group out in DC about the opportunity to work with them on pursuing some of this new federal funding that's going to be coming down, or that's already approved and in process. They can be helpful in helping us determine we will be a recipient of the American Rescue Plan funding that will be coming down to cities and counties, and so helping us strategize about how we would use those dollars, but also pursue some of those other funding opportunities for things like 610 or the 169 Elm Creek Boulevard interchange, but also maybe some opportunities for the community center funding. So that's something we just wanted to introduce to the council. Likely will come back for consideration at a later date.
All right, that is the wrap-up of the meeting on the 3rd end. Again, about an hour and a half. We'll tell you about the next meeting in just a few minutes, but let's spend some time talking in our last 10 minutes about a few other things happening around the city, and let's continue with transportation talk. How about I-94? What is happening right now? How does it look out there?
Yeah, it looks different in the last week or so, and you really have to be paying attention again if you're out on the corridor. So MnDOT has installed concrete barriers to separate the westbound lanes of I-94 from the interchange at 494 and 694 all the way to 241 in St. Michael. So this is a long stretch where they've got things kind of boxed off. So you need to make your decision about where you're headed well before you get to that interchange.
Right.
There's one through lane that takes you all the way up to 241 to St. Michael. You know, I was talking with Carol before this, and last year the decision point was Rogers on the inbound lane.
Right.
Now you're having to go all the way to St. Michael. So you really want to make sure
Yes.
I'm headed all the way
It's a
west.
bad mistake.
Yeah, you're going to go way north and have to come back. But those two right-hand lanes then are for the local access. So you'll
Right.
still be able to get off at Weaver, Maple Grove Parkway, Rogers, you know, have that local access.
Sure.
And just a reminder, at some point during the summer here, as we get into the June, July months time frame, they will be redoing those interchanges or those access, the exits. And so
Okay.
Weaver at some point, and then Maple Grove Parkway at some point
Right.
will be closed as well. So lots of activity out there. We really ask people to slow down, pay attention to the workers that are out there on the corridor, and then just really be thinking ahead if you're coming through where
Yep.
you need to be to get where you need to be.
Yep, watch those signs. Park and Recreation, a lot going on right now as they look ahead to summer. Tell us
Yeah.
about the registration process.
So registration is underway for our summer programs through Maple Grove Parks and Recreation. We have a wide array of activities for all ages and interests. There's 400 programs offered this season, so they really tried to get creative and think of things that we could do, knowing that, you know, the standards would likely change, but
Right.
you know, you got to do what you can when you plan for it. So options for youth sports and activities, teen activities, swimming lessons, ice skating lessons, fitness and wellness, and then of course our 55+ programming is available as well.
A lot going on. We'll give you the city's website once again at the end of the program to find out about registration. How about the Town Green? What is in store for Town Green fans this year?
Yeah, so they're planning a full series of music and movies this summer outside of the Town Green, and those will start in late June, so stay tuned to the website for that.
And over to Central Park, the people that love the water there,
Yep.
it's coming, right?
We are prepping for the splash pad to open
Good.
on May 28th, so we'll see what the governor has to say. Maybe we won't have to get so creative about how we control access to that this year.
All right, watch for that coming up. Farmers Market, it's time to shift gears for the market. When can we shop outside?
Yeah, so we return outside on Thursday, May 13th, and our hours are from 3 to 7 p.m. then. And then we're every Thursday starting May 13th through October 21st. And we're back at the community center parking lot. So
Okay.
moving back from the shops over to the
Very good.
outdoor venue.
All right, be looking for that and stop by and get some goodies there. Cleanup days coming up. A couple ways for Maple Grove residents to clean out that stuff from
Yep.
last year and maybe do a little work around the home. Tell us about that process, how it works, and what people need to know.
Yes, we have two options. One is the curbside pickup option. That's Monday, May 17th, but it does require advanced arrangements and payment for those
Okay.
things. So there's some process involved with that pickup one. And then the cleanup day, the drop-off day is Saturday, May 22nd, and that's from 8 to noon at the Public Works facility off of Forest View Lane. And you can get all the information available on our website about some things are accepted, some are not. So you want to make sure to check the website before you either sign up or come for the drop-off.
Excellent, and some of the costs on those items too, you can find all of that information there. Cutting the grass, for those that are going out and cutting the grass, just a friendly reminder to
Yeah.
make sure you do cut the grass, right?
Yes, our city code requires that the height of grass not exceed 8 inches, and so we do get a lot of complaints about that every summer, and we're going to have some extra help this summer in code enforcement to follow up on some of those things.
And as I do cut the grass, I have a place to take it in Maple Grove.
You
Tell us
do.
about the Yardway site.
Yeah, Yardway site up on 610 and Maple Grove Parkway. They are open Monday through Saturday from 8 to 7, Sunday from 11 to 7, and you just need to bring your ID to prove your residency here in Maple Grove, and then it's free for your use.
Very good. More information, mgyardwaste.com. You can find out all about that great site. Firefighters, time of the year to recruit firefighters.
Yes.
They have some special days set up. How does this work?
Yeah, so we're out recruiting for firefighters, and again, you know, we provide all the training that you need, all the education that you need. Just kind of come as you are. We're really looking for people who are interested in serving their community and giving back, and it's a great organization to join, great camaraderie, and great training and development for you as well. So some new firefighter informational meetings are coming up. There's dates events starting in the middle of May through about the middle of July. Information is available on the website at mgfire.info, and applications are accepted through July 18th. So this is just kind of our annual process of trying to recruit more members to the department.
Great opportunity for residents. Emerald ash borer, we've been trying to keep you up to date. What is the latest on the emerald ash borer and some of the work the city is doing?
Yeah, so we're continuing to work in kind of those key areas, so up in the Rice, kind of that Rice Lake area and Boundary Creek. As I've mentioned before, we have about 3,600 ash trees that are in the public right-of-way, and we know many more exist in people's yards, and we have more in our parks, those kinds of things. But we will see a pretty high number of removals this first year of the program due to some high infestations in those Rice Lake and Boundary Creek areas. We are going to be doing some select treatment as well. If the tree is, it's a good quality tree and it hasn't been impacted too much,
Right.
We'll try to do some treatment. But folks should look and notice that there probably will be some removal in those areas.
Okay, and final note to pass along, and we circle back to vaccines. We talked about it earlier, but you have a way in Maple Grove through transit to help
Yeah.
people get to vaccines.
Yeah, so My Ride, free ride to vaccines anywhere, but we've also opened it up to the Minnesota State Fair vaccination site. So
Great.
if you live in the 55369 zip code, you qualify to get a vaccine at the Minnesota State Fair site, and then the My Ride program can take you there for free. So lots of opportunities out there to get
Yes.
people to those vaccines.
All right, let's leave people with that website. Once again, we mentioned it many times. Here it is, maplegrovemn.gov. If you have questions or thoughts about some of the things happening in the city or need information about those park and rec programs or the vaccine rides, you can go to maplegrovemn.gov or the phone number at the bottom of the screen. And next meeting, by the way, is Monday, May 17th, 7:30 at the Government Center. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us once again on the Maple Grove City Report.